The Accuser. If you were to look at the history of Western literature, cinema, and theology, there is one character who consistently gets top billing. He's the guy in the red suit, the Prince of Darkness, the Old Serpent, the Father of Lies. We have thousands of names for him, and we've spent 2,000 years turning him into the ultimate mustache-twirling villain of the cosmic drama. We've given him horns, hooves, a pitchfork, and a kingdom of fire. But if you were to walk up to this character and ask him for his actual historical resume, the one backed up by the original ancient texts, you would find a story that is far weirder, much more bureaucratic, and significantly more controversial than anything you saw in a horror movie. Because the Satan you think you know is not actually the Satan who appears in the Torah. He isn't exactly the same guy who appears in the New Testament. And he definitely isn't the same being who appears in the Quran. Depending on which book you open, this character is either a loyal employee of God doing a very dirty job, a fallen angel leading a galactic rebellion, or a prideful spirit made of smokeless fire who just really hates humans. Today, we are going to look at the 3 different versions of the ultimate antagonist. We are going to examine the promotion, the demotion, and the ultimate pride trip of the character we love to hate. I'm Holy Timelines. Today, the Accuser's resume. Let's start at the beginning, with the original movie, the Torah. If you go looking for the devil in the first 5 books of the Bible, you are going to be very disappointed. He's not there. Most people assume the snake in the Garden of Eden was Satan in a reptile suit. But if you read Genesis chapter 3, the text never says that. It just says the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals. In the Jewish tradition, the snake was just a snake. It was a talking, manipulative animal, not a fallen archangel trying to ruin God's weekend. In the Hebrew Bible, the word Satan isn't even a proper name. It's a job title. It's Hasatan, which literally means the adversary or the accuser. In the ancient world, a Satan was a legal term for a prosecutor in a court of law. And in the early parts of the biblical narrative, Satan is a member of the celestial court. He's not an enemy of God. He's a loyal employee of Heaven Inc. He's the head of the quality assurance department. His job is to wander the earth, look for human hypocrisy, and report back to the boss. The classic example is the book of Job. This is the ultimate Satan as corporate auditor story. God and this Satan are hanging out in the heavenly boardroom, and God starts bragging about his star employee, Job. Have you seen Job? Best guy on the planet. Totally faithful. And the Satan, doing his job, leans back and says, well, of course he's faithful. You've given him a massive health plan, a fleet of luxury camels, and 10 kids. You've bribed him. Take away his perks, and he'll curse you to your face. Notice what happens next. The Satan doesn't go behind God's back. He asks for permission. He says, let me run a stress test. And God says, fine. Everything he has is in your power, but don't touch the man himself. The Satan is essentially a divine bounty hunter. He's the guy God uses to do the unpleasant testing that a benevolent deity doesn't want to do personally. In the Jewish view, there is no war in heaven. There is no rival power. God is absolutely totally in charge. And the Satan is just the guy who handles the dirty work. He is a divine prosecutor, not a cosmic rebel. This version of Satan is like the guy from the IRS who audits your taxes. You hate him. He's a massive pain, but he is legally authorized to be there. But then, the franchise gets a massive, high-budget sequel, The New Testament. And this is where the character gets a massive promotion, or a massive demotion, depending on how you look at it. Between the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament, there was a 400-year gap. During this time, Jewish thought was influenced by a lot of outside ideas, particularly from Persia. The Persians had a religion called Zoroastrianism, which believed in a total dualistic war between a god of light and a god of darkness. This idea started to leak into the Jewish psyche. People started asking, if God is so good, why is life so terrible? Why are the Romans crushing us? It can't just be God testing us. There must be an enemy. So by the time we get to the Gospels, the accuser has been rebranded. He is no longer an employee. He is a rebel. He's the CEO of a rival corporation. He's the prince of this world. He's the ruler of the kingdom of the air. In the New Testament, Satan is actively trying to take down the kingdom of God. He's not auditing Job anymore. He's tempting Jesus in the wilderness, offering him the kingdoms of the world if he'll just switch sides. This is a massive shift. The legal prosecutor has become a cosmic terrorist. The Christians took the accuser and combined him with a few other obscure biblical verses to create a king of Babylon falling like a morning star, and they renamed him Lucifer. They took a passage from Ezekiel about a cherub being cast out of Eden for pride, and they said, that's him! That's his origin story. Suddenly, Satan is a fallen archangel who got too big for his wings, led a third of the angels in a mutiny, and was kicked out of heaven. This is the version that gave us the Middle Ages. The Christians turned Satan into a terrifying, omnipresent threat. He's the guy hiding behind every temptation, every heresy, and every bad thought. He went from being a localized legal functionary to being the personification of absolute evil. This version of the story created a massive theological problem. If God is all-powerful, why does he let this rebel continue to run amok? The Christian answer is that the war is already won, thanks to the cross. But we're currently in the mop-up phase of the operation until the end of the world. Satan is a defeated general who is trying to do as much damage as possible before he's thrown into the lake of fire. It's high drama, it's cinematic, and it's what built the cathedrals and the Inquisition. And then, 600 years later, we get the final director's cut, the Quran. And Islam takes this character and adds a layer of psychological complexity that is absolutely fascinating. In Islam, the character is known as Iblis. And right away, the Quran makes a huge distinction. Iblis is not an angel. In the Christian story, he's a fallen angel. But in Islam, angels don't have free will. Angels can't rebel because they are essentially programmed to obey God. So the Quran says Iblis was a jinn. The jinn are beings made of smokeless fire, who inhabit a parallel dimension. They have free will, just like humans. The story of Iblis's fall in the Quran is perhaps the most famous and most debated ego trip in history. According to Surah Al-A'raf, God creates the first human, Adam, out of clay. God then assembles all the angels in Iblis and gives them a command: bow down before Adam. All the angels bow. They don't have a choice. But Iblis stays standing. God asks him, "What prevented you from prostrating when I commanded you?" And Iblis gives the ultimate elitist response. He says, "I am better than him. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay." It is the first instance of racism or speciesism in history. Iblis isn't rebelling against God because he wants to be God. He's rebelling because he thinks humans are gross. He's a spiritual snob. He refuses to honor a creature made of dirt when he is made of celestial fire. Because of this pride, God banishes him. But Iblis, being a master negotiator, asks for a reprieve until the day of resurrection. And God, for reasons that theologians have debated for 14 centuries, grants it. Iblis makes a terrifying vow. He says, "Because you have sent me astray, I will surely sit and wait for them on your straight path. I will come at them from their front and from their back, and on their right and on their left, and you will not find most of them grateful." In the Islamic tradition, Satan is not a rival king of hell. Hell is a place of punishment for him too. He's more like a whisperer, a waswas. He doesn't have the power to make you do anything. He just stands on your shoulder and whispers suggestions, trying to prove to God that humans are as pathetic and ungrateful as he thinks they are. Every time you fail, Iblis wins a point in his eternal argument with God. He's like the ultimate "I told you so" character. So when you look at the resume of the adversary, you see three completely different characters. The Jewish Satan is the celestial prosecutor. He's a bureaucrat. He's the guy who checks your work and reports the errors to the boss. He's not evil. He's just extremely thorough and very annoying. The Christian Satan is the cosmic rebel. He's the fallen prince who wants the throne. He is the personification of absolute, intentional evil, locked in a dualistic war for the souls of humanity. The Islamic Satan is the prideful snob. He's the elite spirit who thinks he's too good to bow to a creature made of mud. He's a whisperer, a master of psychological warfare trying to win a bet against God by ruining his favorite project. They all use the same name, or versions of it, but they are fighting three different wars. The Jewish version is a legal war. The Christian version is a total war. The Islamic version is a war of ego. It is the ultimate reminder that even our monsters have a history. We didn't just wake up one day with a guy in a red suit. We spent 4,000 years evolving our fears. We moved the source of evil from a divine stress test to a fallen angel to a prideful spirit. And in doing so, we revealed more about ourselves than we ever did about the devil. Because in every version of the story, the Satan, whether he's an auditor, a rebel, or a snob, is only interested in one thing: us. He is the mirror we use to look at our own capacity for failure. I'm Holy Timelines. Go check your resume.